From beggar to businessman, an inspirational story. At a railway station in a bustling city, a beggar lived his daily life, surviving by asking for alms from passengers boarding and departing trains. Every day, he stretched out his hands, hoping for a few coins to fill his stomach. One day, while begging, he noticed a tall man dressed in a suit. The beggar thought, "This man looks rich. If I ask him for money, he will surely give me a good amount." He approached the tall man and begged for alms. The man looked at him and said, "You are always asking, but have you ever given anything to anyone?" The beggar, surprised by the question, replied, "Sir, I am just a beggar. I always ask because I have nothing to give." The tall man smiled and said, "If you cannot give, then you have no right to ask. I am a businessman, and I believe in give and take. If you can offer me something in return, only then will I give you something." Saying this, the tall man boarded the train and left. The beggar sat there, lost in thought. The man's words struck a deep chord within him. He realized, perhaps I do not get much alms because I give nothing in return. But what can a beggar like me offer to others? For 2 days, he kept thinking about what he could give in return for alms, but no answer came to his mind. The idea that changed everything. On the third day, while sitting near the station, his eyes fell on some flowers blooming nearby. A thought crossed his mind. Why not give flowers in exchange for alms? Excited by the idea, he plucked a few flowers and set off to beg again. This time, whenever someone gave him money, he handed them a flower in return. Passengers were pleasantly surprised by this gesture. Some smiled, some appreciated his effort, and many kept the flowers as a token. Over time, more and more people started giving him alms, impressed by his unique way of begging. He soon realized a pattern. Whenever he had flowers to give, people were more willing to donate. But on days when he ran out of flowers, he received fewer alms. The second encounter with the businessman. One day, while he was handing out flowers, he saw the same tall businessman sitting inside a train compartment. Excited, he approached him and said, "Sir, today I have something to give you in return. If you give me alms, I will give you flowers." The businessman smiled, handed him some money, and accepted the flowers. He then said, "Wow, this is wonderful. Today, you are no longer a beggar. You have become a businessman like me." Once again, the man's words touched the beggar's heart. This time, however, he felt something different, pride and confidence. He looked up at the sky, his eyes filled with a newfound determination, and exclaimed loudly, "I am not a beggar. I am a businessman. I can become rich too." People around the station looked at him in confusion, some even thinking he had gone mad. But the next day, the beggar was nowhere to be found. 6 months later, a surprising transformation. 6 months passed. At the same railway station, 2 well-dressed men sat inside a train, engaged in conversation. One of them looked at the other and asked, "Do you recognize me?" The second man replied, "No, I don't think we have met before." The first man smiled and said, "Think again. This is not the first time we are meeting. It's actually the 3rd time." The second man frowned, trying to recall, and asked, "When did we meet before?" The first man chuckled and said, "We met twice before, both times on this very train. I was the beggar you once spoke to." The businessman's eyes widened in surprise. "Oh, I remember now. You were the beggar to whom I once refused alms. The second time, I bought flowers from you. But today, you are dressed in a suit. Where are you going now?" The former beggar, now a confident businessman, replied, "Yes, I was once a beggar, but today I am a successful flower merchant. I am traveling to another city for business." He continued, "You taught me a powerful rule of life, the law of giving and receiving. I followed it, and it changed my life. At first, I only saw myself as a beggar, but when you told me that I was a businessman, I truly started believing it. That day, I realized people were not giving me alms, they were paying for the flowers. I was no longer a beggar, I was a small businessman. With the money I earned, I bought more flowers, and over time, I became a full-time flower seller. People in this city love flowers, and their love for flowers made me successful. Today, I own a large flower business." Both men smiled, shook hands, and got off the train together, discussing business as they walked away. Moral of the story. This story teaches us a powerful lesson. Your mindset shapes your success. The tall businessman understood the universal rule of give and take, which is the foundation of all successful businesses. He shared this principle with the beggar, who applied it to his life and saw a dramatic transformation. The story reminds us that if we change our thinking, we can change our life. If we continue to see ourselves as small, we will always remain small. But if we think big, believe in ourselves, and take action, we can achieve great success. Success is hidden in your mindset. Respect yourself, think big, and watch yourself rise to the top.